Manjari Makijany, thank you so much for giving us your time on ITV Gold today. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I have to say congratulations on Spin. It's an amazing movie and I'm so excited to be talking to you about that. So let's go right into it, Manjari. My first question to you has to be, when you were narrated this movie by the writers and you found out the entire concept of it and what happens in it, what was the biggest responsibility you felt you had to show, in this movie? What was the biggest responsibility you had on your shoulders about the South Asian culture in the movie?
So when I read the script, I was just, really excited at here's a South Asian story, here's an Indian American story that's being presented in such a contemporary and fresh way, and I wanted to make sure that experience and that sort of the characters and the nuances are all very authentic. So yeah, definitely felt a responsibility and excitement to tell the story in an authentic way as possible.
Right. Let's talk about the story, about the fact that it's set up about Ria, who's an Indian American girl, and she discovers herself through music. This is happening while she's working in a restaurant with her father and her grandmother, and it's a very typical Indian setting. What was the inspiration behind it? Because when I watched it, it was a typical story in the restaurant. We do see that happening where family own it together and they run it. Where did you, get that inspiration, and, how authentic did you want to make it look?
So I didn't write the script. So, the script was already in place when I came on board as a director. And then I did a director's pass with the writers on it. So it was that piece was already there. So I can't speak to the inspiration of it. But yeah, it was a beautiful sort of family dynamic that's, yeah, as an Indian family, we're all about family. We're all about respecting the elders, and that sort of quintessential experience of running a family business is what's showcased beautifully in this film. Abhay is playing the role of the dad who's the head chef, the manager, and the owner, and everybody else chips in and kind of runs the family restaurant together.
Yes, for sure. Let's talk about the characters. I have a couple of questions for you. Let's talk about Abhay Deol, huge name in Bollywood, even huge name here. He's been doing a lot of crossover movies as well to, get the recognition here. How did you come about, making Abhay Deol the father in the movie? And what were some of the directions you gave him? What did you want out of him in the movie?
So it was really important to have the accents represented as naturally as possible. And since Abhay's character was an immigrant, I wanted to make sure that, we open up the global casting and get somebody from India. And, Abhay is he's known for his unconventional choices, and he'd make such a cool dad. And he's done such a natural performance that it was really important to have him speak in his natural accent and be this awesome dad that he plays. So yeah, it was just amazing working with him, and I was so excited when he said yes to the project, because it is a little different than what he's normally used to doing in Bollywood.
Yes, of course. How did you convince him to be a father of a teenager? I think that's a big step when a Bollywood actor does that.
Yeah, I didn't need to convince him. He's on board, to try new things and to experiment, and really he got it. And yeah, I mean, it really, he read the script and we had a conversation, and he read for the part, and it was amazing. It was just really nice that he actually felt that, he could relate with this and really play himself. It was quite nice.
His character has some amount of emptiness that you see throughout the movie. And then in the end, you see a chance at filling that emptiness. What was the idea behind showing that? And was it difficult to show so many emotions in the movie? You basically have a story of everybody in the movie, while the movie is about Ria as well.
Yeah, it was very important that every other character was also multidimensional, and they just didn't have sort of this one tone that they were playing to. And Arvind's character that's played by Abhay, he has he has a lot of things going on. He's lost his wife. He's dealing with that loss without really sort of talking about it or dealing with it. He's immersed himself in work, and he's all about sort of the family, and he believes that Ria is sort of his mini me, and she's sort of gonna go and carry on sort of the legacy of the restaurant. But yeah, I mean, it's actually Aryan's character, that's Rohan, who's more interested in sort of running the family business, and Ria discovers this beautiful path of DJing and making music.
Yes, for sure. You just mentioned Rohan, so let's talk about it. Aryan Simhadri is his name, and he's actually been in the industry for a little bit now. How did you cast him? And his character is full of of vibrance, and he always has some ideas that he wants to talk about or explore. What was the brief you gave him?
So Rohan's character was just sort of beautifully written, and he's sort of this enterprising, driven kid. I mean, he's just anyway a pro, and he's such a natural at what he does that he did Rohan's role effortlessly. I mean, we had rehearsals, and we had expression workshops with the ensemble cast to sort of get everybody in the skin of the characters. But yeah, Aryan just took to it really naturally, and if you spend some time with him, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He just keeps the conversation rolling, and he's a real smooth talker.
Right. Now I want to talk about Miss Meera Syal. She's a known name. We have all seen her work. She plays the role of the grandmother in the movie. She's Ria's nani. How did you decide that you're going to present her in a very Indian or Bollywood way? And how does she take that? And, what do you have to say about her work in the movie?
So it was such an honor to work with Meera Syal. I mean, she is, again, just such a legend in her own way, and she's such a lovely human being. So lovely to work with her. She, really took the character and then and took Asha's character to a whole other level with what she did. And her character is a fan of Bollywood music, and sort of we've had that nod to the Indian classic number by having her dance on Jab Chai, and it's shot in sort of a really fun classic way, as well as those Bollywood songs are short. So we really enjoyed that. I mean, she's dancing in the movie, she's making you laugh, she's making you cry. It's just such a beautiful role essayed by her, and it was a true joy to work with her. I mean, her comic timing is amazing, and I had a beautiful relationship with my nani, so it was really nice to sort of bring that Ria and Asha's character together, because I mean, her character really is one character that just sees through everybody, and she's sort of the catalyst in a way to getting everybody on that path. So it's really a beautiful role.
Yes, I truly enjoyed watching that aspect of her, because it reminded me of many Indian aunties who could be doing that, who love Bollywood and who want to keep their culture here alive, The character of Ria, let's talk about it. Avantika is playing it. She is very Indian American in her personality, in her behavior. She is somebody who, you'll see in a high school interacting with a, diverse group of friends, and it's possible to see that. How do you think Avantika took up this role? And what do you have to say about what she added to the role of Ria?
So, I mean, Avantika is an Indian American. She's born here. So this was a very natural sort of role for her. It's not something out of the box. It's very real. I mean, the school she goes to, it's an international school, and she really does have a diverse group of friends. So it was sort of a natural thing for her to tap into, sort of her Indian American experience. And she's also sort of lived in India. She's lived here, and she understands what fusing those two worlds feel and mean like. And that was important, because even during the audition process, we had a few people shortlisted, and Avantika came in the audition room, and she just wowed everybody. I mean, I had her do a scene without any lines in it, and she just aced it. I mean, she came in, she did really emoted well to each beat on point, and that's when I knew. I was like, okay, this is my Ria.
Right. You know, Ria's appearance was something that I found very interesting. I call it the fusion, you know, of South Asia and America here. She was wearing kurtis. Her hair was done like most Indian girls have it done during high school. She was eating Indian food in her lunchroom, and her friends were sharing that food. Talk to me about creating those scenes, and you know, what goes behind it as a director for you?
Well, it was really important to have all of these scenes sort of, have that authentic nuance in it, and whether it was the costumes, whether it was production design, whether it was the camera work or costumes coming in from India, jewelry coming in from India, all of those things, including what the accents are going to be like. That was very important for me to make sure that this is sort of a realistic, relatable, contemporary, modern Indian American family that people can relate to, it's like you said, it's very natural for an Indian American to sort of put on a kurti with jeans and do like an Indo fusion with what they're wearing, and really sort of be proud of that culture and introduce it in a way, because it's really part of who we are.
Yeah. Would you say that this movie could perhaps normalize South Asians in the bigger, stream of movies? Do you think this brings to the table the fact that we are also a part of a larger community that often get underrepresented? Do you think this kind of changes that conversation?
Absolutely. I think this changes the narrative. I mean, just by, after watching the trailer, the number of messages I've gotten from not just Indian Americans, but from South Asians who have said, oh, I wish we had this growing up. This is so amazing because this is going to normalize things for my kids, or I wish we had something like that, when we were kids. So it's definitely changing the narrative. I mean, it's Disney Channel's first Indian American lead story, and that in itself is a huge win, and I think the way sort of the Indian culture is represented also is relatable, and it's contemporary. It's not sort of like your Little India just made for Indian audiences. It's completely universal and relatable, and I think that was one of the key things for me as a filmmaker is to present that in this sort of fresh with a fresh perspective.
Yeah, and I also feel that the movie could have had any ethnicity as Ria. The story didn't depend upon her being South Asian. It depended about just her exploring the world around her. So let's talk about that world. In this movie, you are exploring the world of DJ and mixing. Very unconventional. So I have to ask you this very basic question. How does it feel to represent unconventional options for careers or passions for South Asians on the full screen? This is something that we discuss all the time, how our community still wants those conventional careers for us, and it's really hard to partake in other things. What does this make you feel like?
I think the narrative is changing, and it was so, like you said, it didn't have to be an Indian family because the story is so universal. It is so broad. It's about a girl who comes of age, through music and discovering her passion in creating beats and making music, and how sort of that comes together in her journey of embracing who she really is. And I think that is the center point of it all. That this is a story about somebody going after their dreams, and it's somebody about it's a story about someone chasing that true talent and then sharing it with the world. And she happens to be an Indian American. So I think the narrative definitely changes around sort of, we just want to be in IT or be doctors or be engineers. And this is, I think it's reflective of the world we live in, because I think for the longest time, Indian families have been represented as sort of like, super strict and it's like, oh, this is just the career path for you. But in reality, it's pretty different. I mean, just look at Avantika. She's pursuing acting, and I'm pursuing filmmaking, all unconventional choices that you wouldn't imagine otherwise.
Yeah, that's so true. With the movie, again, I want to talk about the DJ world. There are actually South Asians, that are pursuing that passion. Some of them are really known. They're huge. They have a lot of fan and followings. What do you have to say about that profession? I'm sure you got a great insight into it making this movie. What do you have to say to South Asians that are pursuing that?
I mean, I've had so many DJs, not just female DJs, but men write to me saying, this is amazing. We're so happy that we have a movie, finally a Desi movie on DJs.
Yeah.
And it's really heartwarming to get those messages and and hear from them. And I mean, we had a DJ consultant on set. We had DJ master classes to make sure we get all the nuances right. We understand the technicalities, and we're showing everything the right way so that the subculture of DJing and DJs don't feel like, oh, that would never happen or that's wrong. So we took great care in sort of all getting that detailing done really well. And I think it's exciting to explore something unconventional, like you said, and it's fun to have this sort of Indian American DJ coming of age story.
Let's talk about the music. And I'd actually like to talk about the background score first. Was it intentional to have classical elements infused with Western music? Because that's what you heard a lot in the movie while in the restaurant, or even in the high school, or even in their house. There was a theme to that. Did I get that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was important to sort of blend in. It was important to blend in this sort of cross-cultural fusion experience, because she's an Indian. She's grown up on a lot of different songs as well because of her nanny who's a Bollywood fan. So that's an influence. Her mother was a singer, and she's done some sort of classical Indian training. So that has influenced her sort of what she listens to. And of course, I mean, she's an Indian American, so she listens to a whole other bunch of stuff. So it was very important to get that holistic palette for Ria in place. And our composer, Marius de Vries, who's just incredible at what he does, created that sort of musical palette where Max's music was more distinct, sort of, your electronic dance music that he's a fan of. And of course, Ria also, she's a fan of DJ Luca Sent and follows that music. But then she also follows this whole other eclectic mix. And I think when she makes her own track that she creates in the finale, that's got a little bit of everything that makes her who she is. And she brings that into her music. And it was important to give that nod to sort of the Indian instrumentation. So we brought in Salim Suleiman to bring that authentic touch for that aspect.
How was it working with Salim Suleiman? That was actually going to be my next question.
It's amazing working with them. I mean, they did Skater Girl. They did all the music for Skater Girl as well. They also did one of my short films, The Corner Table. So it was just, we have a shorthand, and it was just incredible to have them do an original song and, also do a couple of other elements in the film to sort of blend in that beautiful Indian fusion into the mix with what Marius was creating.
Yes, so relatable to so many people. I think it's going to be so exciting when the community sees it. I have you for a couple more minutes here, so I actually have some questions about you here. I just want to know, how do you feel creating such unconventional movies or short films? What is the vision behind that for you?
It's story. It really comes down to story. It's sort of what sparks my interest, or what really sort of, makes me curious, and I'll want to explore something. With Skater Girl, it was, discovering the skate scene in India. That was the inspiration. And with Spin, it was just reading this amazing script that had such a fresh take on the Indian American experience, and a beautiful coming of age story that I could completely see. So yeah, I think it's just it's the power of story, and it's what storytelling can do, and just the journey it can take you on that really sort of fascinates me. And I don't know what the next unconventional thing will be to discover, but yeah, looking sort of forward. As I think, as a filmmaker and a writer, your camera and your head is always rolling for stories. So yeah, just always on the watch out.
You come from a Bollywood film family with lots of actors in it. Your father was an actor as well. How have you used that in your work? And would we see you doing some work in Bollywood as well? Is that something that you want to explore?
I think the lines are blurring so much between sort of what is, Bollywood and Hollywood, and like everything is sort of so global right now that I always feel that if there's a story, when we made Skater Girl, I mean, we had people in there from Europe, from the States, and from all over. Same with Spin. I mean, we have actors from the UK, from India, from Australia. So it really becomes what the story is and what it wants to service. And I get asked this question a lot, that would you make a Bollywood film? And I'm like, what do you mean by a real Bollywood film? Because it's even what Bollywood is changing and evolving so much with the OTT platforms and sort of what kind of movies are being made. And there's so many eclectic, diverse new voices coming in, and so many amazing stories coming in, that it's really sort of broadened the horizon of what you can do when making a film back home in India. So yeah, I'm always looking forward to telling sort of a story that's set in India, and that hopefully transcends borders, and it's not just for the Indian territory.
Just 2 more questions left for you. I would love to know what you have to say about your relationship with Disney. And also, what do you have to say about Disney's constant attempt for the last couple of years on showing South Asian stories, be it animated or now through Spin? What do you have to say?
I have to say that Disney is just incredible. They really get behind a vision, and they really support you through that vision. So this is Disney Channel's first Indian American protagonist story, and that's incredible. That this is sort of Spin is going to be that film that's going to be the first of many. And same with, like you said, the animated series, Meera the detective, the royal detective, and all of these things I think are changing the narrative, where you're seeing that representation in lead characters. They're not just in the background. And I think at Disney they take diversity and inclusion very seriously. So I think it's just amazing to finally have that happen, and feel that representation, which is a reflective of the world we live in.
Let me read you a comment that was written about the movie, and it said, quotes, "Inclusive story about an underrepresented group and a richer narrative." That's what that was said about the movie, and I think it's so important that Disney is doing this work to be inclusive. Last question. I would love to get some tips from you for South Asian artists that are working here and want to pursue acting and or filmmaking. It kind of goes hand in hand for some people. What's your advice to them, and what are some of the tips you can give them in order to make it into the industry here?
I'd say, put your work out there and try and get representation, because if you have a good agent or a good manager, they can really help you with the hustle. But just keeping at it and putting your work out there. There are so many times when we're sort of researching and trying to find talent that, we cast a wide net, and you'll be surprised on where all people are looking at for new talent, whether it's seeing material on social media, or it's seeing like an Instagram or TikTok, or even like short films at the festivals, what's being submitted through agents. So there are so many avenues now to really put your talent out there and get seen. And I'd say, just be at it and be proactive, because, honestly, that is what worked for me. So that's what I can speak to.
Yes, for sure. Well, thank you for that advice. And the movie is releasing tomorrow.
Yes.
If I'm right. Yes, I'm right. At 8 p.m. on Disney. And I'm sure it will be running a couple of times so people can actually watch it, right?
Yes, that's right. And it's releasing on the 15th in India.
Yes, of course, on the day of Indian Independence Day. What a beautiful day to release the movie on. Well, thank you so much for your time today on ITV Gold. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure talking.
Pizza drone.
Family, they're called TikTokos. Chill.
Night, Baba.
Repeat. Friends.
Shakib.
Family.
This is why you're my favorite daughter.
Your only daughter. Chill. Repeat. That's perfect. Friends, family, chill. Friends, family, chill. Friend, family, chill. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Wait, hold up. Go back.
Who is that?
I've never seen you smile like that before.
That's Max. He's a DJ. He's probably way too cool for me. Teach me how to spin.
You want to be a DJ?
So it's a date.
Ready, set, go. We don't stop until we're done. Take your places on the floor. Start in 3, 2, 1.
It's really amazing how you're picking all this up.
You could be great. So you're a musician?
No. It's just a hobby.
Not DJ contest.
We entered for you. loved making that song with Max, but what if there's no more music in me?
Your mother always said
It's all music.
she didn't run out of music, and neither will you. Go find it, let it out.
Welcome to Battle of the Beatmasters!
Show everybody who you really are.
I'm ready.
You were born ready.